All right, cool. So now to the subject of today's video that I wanted to talk about. So there was a post on Facebook about making, oh, I should making these are the dishes clean or dirty little wheel. Maybe I should look for it, but you'll get the idea here in a moment. So I wanted to make something like that and kind of like walk you through the process of like how I would design it. So let's do it. So the idea is something like this. There are these like wheels. This is from a Texas writer that I really like, Austin Kleon, where these have been made a lot. They're like little wheels with different data on it or different like connections, and there is one that is like, are the dishes clean or dirty wheel? I don't know if I can get it right here. Yeah, this one. This is the one that someone posted. So the idea is that you have these, these two states for the wheel. So one is clean, one is dirty. I think there are a lot of different variations of these. There could also be something like, are the cats fed or is the dog fed or not? So I think I wanted to like build something like that. And so the technical term for these kind of things, or like, it's kind of an obscure term really, is Volvelles. This is the Wikipedia page. So they're like really actually old, and people have been making these kind of things for a while. And so yeah, let's get started. I actually prepared some cuts for you today. So let's talk first about what it looks like. I made a little mock-up. So that looks like these. Let me show you how this overhead. So here's the idea. I think you start with like a base where, that's gonna hold everything. And then we're gonna have like something in the middle, like a second piece. And then that piece would have like, the two states. In this case, we're gonna make one that has two states or two options. And so on one side is gonna say, yeah, there's the example with the dishwasher. So on one side is gonna say clean. And the idea is that if you spin it, then the other side is gonna say dirty. And then the third piece that we have is like whatever goes on top. So it's gonna be like a window, right? So it's gonna look something like that. And the idea is that those are gonna be kind of joined together. And so you can actually sort of spin this one. Oh, and then of course it should say, it should have something like the dishes are, sorry. The dishes are. So it's gonna say the dishes are dirty or clean, or whatever we're gonna put in there. So that's it. That's gonna be the basic construction. So we have three pieces, right? So let's build that in Cuddle. I'm gonna move over here to the desktop. I started a new project, and so it's just a completely blank project. And I'm gonna kind of build it really fast because I actually pre-cut some pieces and I want to show you the assembly. So hopefully you can like follow with these later. So I think I'm gonna start with just the base, and I'm gonna create a component that I'm gonna call the base. And the example here is a hexagon, although there are some round ones. And I think the easier one to build to start with is the round one. So I'm gonna go with that. So I'm gonna start with just a circle. Let's make these bigger. And I'm just gonna choose the size kind of right away. So let's say it's a 2.5 inch circle. This can be made bigger later. And then something I wanna build from the beginning is that it needs to have a pivot point. So the pivot point should be like, a circle here in the middle. And I'm gonna choose that pivot point to be 0.6. But because I'm gonna be reusing the pivot point, I'm actually gonna make it into a separate component. So I'm gonna click the plus and add a component. Once again, I'm gonna be kind of on the way, so I'm gonna move myself over here while we talk about components. So that one is going to be the pivot. And I decided that it was going to be about half an inch, just a little bit more, so 0.6. And I'm going to be naming these as I go, so I stay organized. Pivot point. And then I'm going to actually do the colors as I go, so it kind of makes sense. So I'm going to make this into red, so it's an outside cut. And so because that's the base, I'm going to have a pivot in the center. Yeah, just to mark it for the future. So now I want to build the middle part, that part that has the two words, the clean or dirty. So I'm gonna call it the middle. And so I'm gonna be kind of reusing the stuff I've been pre-making. So I'm gonna just grab the base and bring it into there, because that kind of has all the stuff that I want. And so I'm gonna start, on these examples, there is usually like a little handle. This one has a little acrylic handle. This one has a little hand. I like the hand. It's kind of like a clever thing. So I'm just gonna add the handle right away. So that's just gonna be another circle. And let's make it the same as the pivot. And I'm gonna join it. So I'm just creating the sort of base for that. So I'm gonna apply the Boolean union. So I just have like a blank shape. And now I'm gonna choose the words. So there is a kind of handy option. If I search for text, there is an option here that says text around circle. And there are kind of different variations on it. I'm gonna grab the one that says text around circle bottom, because I'm gonna write that word first. I'm gonna place it right on the center. And there is some resizing that we need to do. So the way this one works is that it has a circle, and as you resize that circle, you change the scale of the circle, the words kind of wrap around it. So let's make this one 1.3 just to start. And let's say I'm going to start with clean. The text is of course too big, so let's make it smaller. Say 40 points, looks about right. And I'm gonna choose like a fun font. So let's choose this one. I like the Hello Hannah that I've been using for the titles. And this is probably gonna be a score. So I'm gonna make it pink. And I want to write the other one, the opposite one. So because I applied all these, I choose all these sizes and I did all these things. The easy way to do it is to duplicate the existing one and just rotate it. Because when I made my mockup, one word is like this and the other one is upside down. So I want to kind of keep that going. So I'm going to select that. And to duplicate it, I'm going to right click on it. And there's an option that says duplicate. And here on the rotation, it needs to be rotated by 180. Clean. Yeah, I wish they were always clean. The other one is gonna say dirty. All right, so I got my clean and my dirty. So far I have the base, I have the middle, and now we want to make the top. The part that just covers it all. So I'm gonna create another component. I'm gonna call that the top. Base, middle, on top. And once again, I'm gonna reuse the base. I'm gonna grab the base here because it kind of comes with everything. And I wanna make that window, the thing that we can sort of see through. And the way I wanna do that, so the idea with the window is that it should be like this is the window here. So it's essentially like a half circle with a little additional thing for the clearance for the pivot point. So that's how I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna wrong camera. The way I'm gonna make it is I'm gonna grab this component called a pie. Or pie shape, pie slice. So I'm gonna place my pie slice right here. And that's kind of gonna be my window. And I'm gonna make it first a little bigger, something like 2 inches. And then the way these pie slices operate is that you can sort of change the angle. So it starts at 0, so which is right here. And then if I increase or decrease that angle, I can see how it opens and closes. So that's gonna be 180. And I wanna do this kind of visually, so I kind of understand what's happening. So I know that I want this base, I'm gonna apply a fill to it. It looks like a fun little smile, but so if I make the window white, that's what I want to be cut out, meaning I change the fill to white. I'm getting there, but I still want that pivot point to appear. So I'm simply gonna grab it again. I'm gonna grab that pivot point component and place it on top. And it feels a little redundant, but that's fine. I'm gonna give it a fill as well. So visually, this is what I want. I want these to be solid and this to be a cutout. And in order to just make this into the object, what I need to do is apply that flatten operation. So I'm gonna select everything, and then there's it's a modifier, not an operation, but like let's call it. So there is this one called flatten. So that one, what it does is that it joined everything that had the same color, and whatever was white, it made it into a cut. So it just cut it out, which is what I wanted. And I could when I go to flatten, if I select this stroke result, I can see what the result is. So yeah, that looks good. But for now, I'm actually gonna not check that. And now I want to have like a message on top. So I'm gonna grab I'm gonna try and use the same font that we'd used before. It just need to be regular text. So I'm gonna grab text. I'm gonna do the basic text, make it align center. I'm gonna choose the font, Hello Hannah. I don't know, I think that font is kind of fun. And let's make it smaller. And I might move it here. I'm gonna write something. So the dishes are. And that needs to move up a bit. I think I want to make it in inches so I can kind of guess it better. 0.4. Yeah. Like a pink too. And this is the so I think this is the basic idea. Let's make like a preview component so we can see. I'm gonna sort of assemble it in the virtual Cuddle environment. So I'm gonna call it the preview. So this is the order of operations. I put a base at the bottom. Then I'm gonna have that middle part. Oh, I can already see that I'm missing something in the middle. I actually want that pivot point. So I'm gonna just grab that pivot that I pre-made. I'm gonna place it right there. Okay, let's go back to the preview. So I'm going to repeat it so it's clear. So I have a base, I have a middle section, and I have that top section, sorry. And so once they're assembled like that, I should be able to rotate the middle like so to expose dirty or clean. And one thing I just noticed here is that I want the words dirty and clean to be a little bit higher. So something I can do is I can actually edit in context. So I'm going to be editing the middle component by double clicking on it. So now I get this kind of like focus mode that is only focusing on that component. And I want this circle to be a little bit smaller. So it moves up. Well, I just moved just the dirty, but yeah. So I think I want it to be something like that. And I want the same for the clean. So I think it's a little bit more centered in the window. That's what I was kind of looking for. So yeah, now if I rotate that one, just to preview it. Yeah. So at this point, I can create like a cut preview, a cut. So I can kind of organize it for myself to send it to the laser cutter. So I know I need to cut a base, and yeah, the colors are good, the outside cut and the inside cut. I need to cut middle, and so the colors are also good on this one, and I need to cut the top. I kind of want to change the colors here because I want I want to have the scores and the cuts kind of be the same color. So I'm actually going to go back here to the top. On flatten, I'm going to apply the stroke result, so I only see the result. And I want that to be red. So in order to do that, I actually need to, like, if I change the stroke here, it's not going to change because the flatten is kind of overriding that. So I'm actually going to create a new group. So I'm going to group it. So kind of strange use of a group, but I want to override everything on the flatten and make that stroke red. Yeah, that's kind of like the trick there. So now I have all the cuts are red, the inside cut is black, and yeah, so of course, I couldn't cut it during the live stream, so I actually, I just pre-cut it. So here it is. And this is how they come out of the laser cutter. I kind of had it like stacked. So, oh, you know what? Actually, the way I did it here is that here on the base, I didn't want to cut it. I actually wanted that to be, I wanted it to be pink, so it would be a score. The reason I wanted a score there, so I'm going to make this pink. That's the pivot? Yeah, pink. And did I break anything? No, I think it's good. The reason I wanted that to be a score is because I wanted it to be like a guide for gluing. So this is how I came out of the laser cutter. So the window part, I don't really need. I'm going to just get rid of that one. But then the inside cut of the middle part, this one, that's what kind of becomes the pivot point or the axle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that little offcut and I'm going to glue it onto the base. And then that's going to allow me to move it around. But one thing I ran into when I did this the first time is that these are all the same thickness. So if I were to glue it just like these, they just kind of compress each other, and then it's kind of like really hard to move these one. So the kind of solution I came up with was to create a little spacer. So the way I created that spacer was by, I just kind of cut the pivot separately. So I kind of dragged the pivot like so. And so I made this into a separate cut out of like a thinner material, just to give it a little space. And so I made that out of chipboard, which is like a really thin one-ply cardboard. And so that is the spacer that allows me to have a little bit more movement. So let's glue these kind of live on camera. Let's see if I don't make a mess with this super glue. Oop, yeah, a little super glue. The score right there is for me to kind of center it, otherwise I'd be kind of lost. Then I'm gonna glue the spacer, also with super glue. Kind of like make it quick. So that creates a little space. And then I need to assemble it, so I'm gonna place the middle here. So just make sure it kind of rotates freely. Yeah, decent enough. And then with that space, I can glue the top. So let's put a little bit of glue there. Congratulate myself for not making a mess with the super glue as I usually do. And so there we go. So glue it in place. And so these should rotate. Yeah, check this out. So if I place it like that, you can actually see the gap created by that spacer, by that chipboard spacer. Yeah, there's the gap. And so now it can kind of rotate freely. So the dishes are clean or dirty. Yeah, like this one turns out kind of okay. The previous one, I made a smaller one where like I glued it without the spacer, and it's just kind of hard to move. I guess it can get there, but I kind of like the spacer. One additional thing I was thinking is that, I mean, the glue works all right. Some refinement that could be done is, of course, it would be nice to have magnets on the base, but with this organization, we can like always add, say, holes for magnets by creating something like that. We just need to size it to the magnet that we have, and so so you could attach it to the fridge or the dishwasher. The other refinement I thought about that. I'm not sure it's super pretty, but like I did it anyway, so I'm going to show you. I was thinking it could be assembled with a screw rather than glue. So if you want to like prototype it or disassemble it, so what I did is I created a screw hole, like a screw hole component. So I'm gonna create it here. So I call it a screw hole. To be able to type hole. And so that is also just a circle, and I'm going to use this like tiny number 4 screw that is close to 3 millimeters. And speaking of that, I was thinking in millimeters when I did this. So I want this hole to be actually 2.5 millimeters, so 2.5. And you can do millimeters even if you're working in inches. So I'm just going to type millimeters, and it just does the conversion right away. And so my idea here, I'm just going to organize it here. Oh yeah, someone suggests that you could cut the spacer from a cereal or food box. Perfect, yeah, that's a cool recycling. Yeah, it's basically chipboard with like an added layer, but it's a cool recycling idea. A magnet could also be cool, Hassan suggests on the chat. So just to show you the screw hole idea, what I did is I created this screw hole, and essentially I want a hole going through all the components. And so what I did is I just added it. I added it on the base. Well, the pivot doesn't need a hole because, oh, does it? Yeah, it does actually. The pivot needs a little hole too, because that's the spacer, pivot spacer. Wait, did I mess it up? Hold on, before I continue. The middle needs a little hole in the center, and the top needs a little hole. And let me look at my cut. Name it. Yeah, everything has the hole where I want it. I think I could just add it to the pivot and it's going to be fine. Yeah, it looks fine. So everything has a hole. So I went ahead and cut that one too. So this is the one that we just glued. So let me show you the one with the hole. So once again, something like that. We don't get this out of the way. We don't need the window cutoff, but we'll use that as the pivot point. And maybe I didn't need that score. That's fine. So that will be the pivot point. That's the spacer with the hole. So that's gonna be there. And then it's gonna be spacer. So anyway, that's the pivot point. Spacer. And the top section. And I had this, it's kind of small. This is a number 4 screw by 1/2 inch, I think. So yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have the box right here. Number 4 by 1/2. So I'm gonna screw it. So I think it's fine that it compresses everything, this one screw. And I kind of got lucky with the 1/2 inch that it doesn't stick out too much. I would probably choose a flat head instead of or like a pan head instead of one of these, but that's what I had. So I like the action on this one, and it was like kind of quick to assemble. Not pretty. Could be made a bit prettier. But yeah, so this is the version with the screw. And this is the version with glue. I mean, the beauty of the glue is that you don't have anything here. And so I could think of a few refinements, unless you have any questions. But yeah, so a couple of ideas are like, let's go look at these again. I made this one, and it's kind of organized by components here on the left, and I'm kind of reusing a bunch of the components among each other. But like, if I wanted it to be more reusable, maybe I would extract a few things as separate components. Like the first one that occurs to me is, for example, what if I want a two-state Volvelle? I hope it's pronounced Volvelle. Sounds French-ish. If I want a two-state one, maybe I just want to change the message. So I can extract that as a component. So I'm going to go back to let's start with this one. Let's extract the dishes R. I can click on these dots, extract as parameter, and I want, now I need to put myself on the left. So I extracted that as a parameter, which means if I change it here, it changes right there. But I want that to be a global parameter, so it applies to everything. Yeah. Let's make it a project parameter. So what if the cats, are the cats? No, the cats fed? Good enough. And then I want to extract also the two other states. Actually, I could give this one a more descriptive name. So that would be the top message. And then I want to extract this one clean as a component, or the parameter, I'm sorry. So, and then I'm going to make it a project. So applies to the project. So I don't know, let's call it state 1. That would be clean. So the cat's fed, yes. And let's extract the other one, the second state, as a parameter as well. So I click on the 3 dots, extract this parameter, move it to a project. I call that one state 2. No. Does it work? Let's look at the preview. What did I do? Oh, of course. I'm fine. It's just that the preview, the top should have a fill, so it kind of blocks out the previous one. No. Now, let's call it no. So if I rotate that one, it should work. Cool. So yeah, if I want to present it as something to be cut, I can always go to the README and add that preview component. So I can see what it looks like roughly over here. And I can, I could also add the cut component here. So if I add it, I click this plus and I add the cut. And so now whenever someone downloads something, this little arrow means that that's what they get as a download. And so yeah, I can think of other options. Are the cats fed? Are the dogs clean? I don't know how you clean your dogs. Clean with a paw. Yes. So yes or no? Cool. I think other refinements would be, I mean, this is a two-state wheel, but I don't see why you couldn't have a three-state one. You know, in that case, I would change the size of the window, and then, you know, add more circles for the names. You know, if we were to change the size of the window, we can always change the pie slice to say something like, you know, say 60 degrees. That would make a three-state one. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, let's say if you make a 60-degree one, and then maybe repeat it around by using the rotational repeat it 3 times. Yeah, so for example, that unintentional warning sign here, but yeah, that way we could have a 3 window in 3 states and maybe modify, you know, have 3 handles and 3 words. Anyway, I think that, you know, with that you can play and make other versions of these. Cool. So I think that's I want to return that pie slice to not being like that, to end on a good note. So yeah, cool. Thank you so much for the suggestions on the chat. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.